Yeah, I already see it. That hair in my face. Look how ice is moved. About to try to come with some info for him today. Okay, alright, what's happening, y'all? So, the thought was that I was gonna bring some information about some of the biggest drug dealers that get no mention. So in doing that, my thought was, well, I need to go to the king, and then pretty much show y'all his soldiers, and go about it that way. So first off, let me kind of just give a little thought with this image y'all seeing right here. A lot of times, you'll catch people that'll be like, you shouldn't speak about somebody who's passed in a negative light, or whatever. But let me just share this thought. Now, if I lived a life that consisted of waging wars against innocent women, men, and children, if I ordered the assassination of political leaders, toppled governments in the name of democracy, all the while conspiring, distributing, and profiting off the sale of cocaine and guns, for more than a decade, then when I died, I was hailed as a national hero. What does that say about that nation? Now, really, I guess I'm pretty much just saying, like, if you be on some bullshit and then you turn around and you die, and then somebody like me, come up and say, or, more than just say, point out that you ain't shit, which I'm about to do. What's the argument? That's how he chose to live his life. So, all right, anyway, just wanted to give a little, thought about what I was having in that picture when I put that together. Because, I got trolls that be sometimes commenting a bunch of stupid shit. But, all right, anyway, so with this one, like I said, we're going to talk about some of the bigger drug dealers. Back 80s drug dealers, 90s drug dealers. And, most of the time when you hear drug dealer, that phrase, the picture that come to mind is, primarily a young black or brown male from an impoverished neighborhood, low education, sometimes the movies, documentaries they made, depict the drug dealer as a illegal immigrant, like in Cocaine Cowboys, or in that movie Scarface with Al Pacino, and then they had some type of connection from where they was from, and they brought cocaine into the country, and or they tell you about Freeway and Alpo and White Boy Rick. So I ain't about to go into them. Y'all know I ain't about to go there. I'm gonna go a little further, because really the biggest ones was the ones who were supplying Freeway, and Alpo and White Boy Rick, and like I said. Now hold on, like in the movie with Cocaine Cowboys, they mentioned Griselda Blanco, or whatever her name is. Like, now at best she was mid-level, and I'm gonna show you how crazy this is. That these movies, well, at least in that one particular, like, I think his name was Corbin. I think that was the director name. Now, for some reason, he ain't mentioned one of the individuals that I'm about to mention, and now I know the reason why, and I think after watching this, y'all will be able to tell why. Like, all right, well, he didn't bring her up, even though he was talking about Griselda Blanca, and they made a little point about that. So anyway, the couple of individuals I'm gonna bring to y'all today, in the mix of presenting some information about HW and his connections, and how he overseen all of the drug activity. A couple of those individuals we're gonna go into. One is named Jack DeVoe, and the other one is named Sonia Satala. I think that's her name. So, we're gonna dig into it. So, all right, first I'm gonna just give y'all a little background about Bush because, like I said, the ones who was supplying, uh, you know, Freeway and White Boy Rig and the suppliers of them, those is the main, those is the big ones. Those the big drug dealers, hustlers, smugglers, whatever. And so those individuals, those were CIA and DEA agents. And so now the two individuals I named, you know, I'm gonna put it together for y'all. But the mention of HW is because, at one point in time he was the head of the CIA and he was a CIA agent before that. A lot of people didn't know that, you know what I mean? So he was in contact with Hoover. So it go back pretty far. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give y'all a clip, just a little background about him. Then we're gonna get right into a couple of the individuals I told y'all about, and just some stories about what was going on during that time to kind of connect some of the dots. Now the history done kind of, or I should say, time been passed and information that came out. So all right, let's get it together. So check this clip out. All right.
1969, and it's hard to see, and we will take a phone call here very shortly, but this is printed in the nation, and you've got a larger version of it. I'll hold it up here.
Real size.
It's real hard to read it, although I'm not sure it makes a whole lot difference because the camera can get real close on this. What is this?
Well, that's the FBI document. It's a memo from J. Edgar Hoover to the State Department, November 29th, 1963, on the assassination of President Kennedy. And in the last paragraph there's a reference to George Bush of the Central Intelligence Agency.
You're talking about this?
Right down there, yeah.
Right here.
We'll
get a close-up of that so that our audience can see it. We should have that here, right where my finger is.
That's right.
Reference to George Bush. What do you plan to do with this story next?
Well, I'm here to follow up on it and just checking around to see what else I can turn up.
You had on Alternative Views, those of you watching Alternative Views regularly know that about the drug scams which were going on, where illegal arms would be shipped down to the Contras particularly, and the C-130s would be filled up with cocaine and all and brought back in the United States and offloaded, sometimes at U.S. Air Force bases, sometimes at more covert landing strips. Now, how would this operation fit in with what we're talking about?
Right. We found a number of people in Florida that were helping the Contras, taking weapons, guns for drugs, that were involved in failed banks and savings and loans. One CIA gun and drug runner was a guy named Jack DeVoe. And DeVoe was actually bringing in his cocaine into the Ocean Reef Club on Key Largo that was owned by Carl Linder, the Cincinnati businessman.
Oh, he's very close to Bush.
Very close to Bush. Okay, Bush would go down and actually vacation at the Ocean Reef Club. And there's a picture in my book of Bush in a fishing boat off Ocean Reef. And this is where Jack DeVoe was bringing in his cocaine. And DeVoe was also taking guns down to Latin America for the CIA.
Mic check. Okay, so y'all heard it. Jack DeVoe, a CIA agent who smuggled cocaine into the Ocean Reef Club owned by Carl Linder. Now, Carl Linder, not just being the one-time CEO of the Cincinnati Reds, he was also a close friend of George Bush, but according to the 2006 issue of Forbes magazine 400 list, Linder was ranked 133 and was worth an estimated $2.3 billion. So now, we're talking about big money associated with this. And he was known to give a lot of money to HW's campaign. And then in 2004, what I found is that he was named one of 62 Super Rangers. And that title was given to people who raise 300,000 or more. So now that's him basically, showing love for the son of HW, basically all the money they done made. I mean, That's what I would think. Now, I just want to give y'all a little insight about that Ocean Reef Club um, that I had found. And so now, if you go to their website, uh, just to kind of let y'all know what type of properties is Ocean Reef, uh, y'all can see it. So, and then it's a thing I want to show y'all on this website that I found interesting. So, but just letting you know, like 1 bedroom condos, 250,000 to a half a million. So that's a 1 bedroom. So this is big money. So all right. Anyway, let me show y'all this real quick that I found interesting and kind of tie into this cocaine smuggling. So now this is as you can see, historical presidential visits to Ocean Reef. So now I'm gonna just scroll down, and like I'll attach all this in the comment section of the video, so if anybody interested, they can look into it. But I just want to show y'all something real quick, just to let y'all know what kind of community this is. Now, it says President Bush Sr. was here many times and held separate mini summits with President Mitterrand of France, Helmut Kohl of Germany, and Margaret Thatcher of Britain prior to his meeting with Gorbachev. He held the mini summit with President Mitterrand here at Ocean Reef. And then, okay, here it goes. It says the protocol of the Secret Service was to close the airports and roads for half of a day in the communities they visited when presidents were moving around. However, I told them that we couldn't inconvenience our members at Ocean Reef and we already were a safe community. When the Secret Service relayed the message back to President Bush, he told them to do whatever those nice people at Ocean Reef wants us to do. So, they telling them that they ain't gonna shut down the roads. So now there was another little thing that I happened to run across. Let me see. It may be, boom. Okay, Carl Linder. The late Carl Linder, member, homeowner, and Ocean Reef Club owner, brought President Nixon, Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, and Colonel Ollie North down to speak to various companies he owned that held meetings here. So now that's the name right there to let y'all know we talking about cocaine smuggling, Ollie North. So for those that know, y'all see the connection right there. So, all right, now let me show y'all the article that I found about Jack DeVoe, just to kind of give y'all some insight. Because they mentioned the Ocean Reef Club, but that wasn't his only place of operation. And then, matter of fact, let me show y'all this before I even go to the the article that I had found about him. Let me just show y'all Carl Linder's home, because the guy on the video, I think his last name is Bruton, but I attached the full documentary, the link to it anyway, but I think that's his name. But he was pointing out that George Bush would have Jack DeVoe come to his home, and so I just want to show y'all this home real quick. I'm gonna back out and let y'all catch a full view of it. But again, they mentioned here he was estimated at 2.3 billion. But let me see if I can get a little bigger picture just to show y'all in relationship to where this is at in Florida. So now, his house surrounded by water. So getting in and out with a boat, that's easy. But hold on, let me show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all another thing too, where this guy Jack DeVoe, he wouldn't have to get in and out with a boat if he really didn't want to, because it's big money right here. These people that's not just owning super fast boats, but they owning planes and bringing it in. And again, this is a CIA agent. So let me back this out real quick, and then I'm gonna take it back in there because I want to show y'all something before we go to this other part. Okay, so kind of see where that was located at. I'm gonna go back just a little more in the Bahamas there and Cuba, for those that just may not be familiar with how that's set up. But all right, now check this out. Let me get back down in here. So now this Ocean Reef community, the Ocean Reef Club. So as y'all can see, they got their own airport. Now for those that might want to, you know, get into that, y'all can look this airport up and, you know, find a couple of little interesting facts, but I'm going to try to keep it moving. But this airport here, I'm just pointing that out. This is a private airport, and they're, you know, they're going to fly it in. So now, let me leave this here real quick. I'm going to back out, but I want to show y'all the article relating to Jack DeVoe. So now, all right, check this out. Let me see. All right, this is UPI, the archives, dated May 3rd, 84. So, all right, now, y'all see the title, 2.2 billion cocaine ring uncovered. Now, remember, Lender was ranked 133, and he was worth 2.3 billion. So now we talking about a big money ring. All right, so I just I'm gonna just read a couple of little parts out of this just to get to the point. But let me scroll down, and I'll attach that link. Look out, move, Isis. That's my dog. All right, so anyway, it's a matter of fact, let me go to it. It says 3 former policemen, a former reporter, and 2 officials from Belize are among 42 people charged with smuggling nearly 8 tons of cocaine into the United States in the largest cocaine trafficking ring ever uncovered, authorities said. So now let me just scroll down. It says that we believe this ring is the largest cocaine trafficking ring ever organized. The ring was responsible for flying 15,837 pounds of high-grade cocaine with a street value of 2.2 billion into the United States between June 82 and November 83. So now those indicted included Jack DeVoe, owner of defunct DeVoe Airlines based at Opelika, northwest of Miami, and then a couple of other individuals. You know, we'll get into that later, but I just want to let y'all peep that he had his own airlines. It's a CIA agent. Don't get, you know, too confused or, you know, forget that point. But now the people that was indicted in this, you know, they got 42, and they named some little low-level cats in this article, but I'm gonna just show y'all, you know, who they were somewhat, and what happens when you got, you know, a CIA agent in your ring. And so now, and then what's crazy is, you know, people will be like, man, well, already a CIA agent, but they saying that he got arrested. And now, once you get arrested and you know, man, they just gonna let the prosecutor know or whatever. Like, man, this is part of my job requirement. Here go my authorities. Check with them, and here go the people that I was working with that ain't on my team. You know, and go knock them, and then we can keep money, you know, flowing like normal. So, all right, now that's $2.2 billion cocaine ring. Now, I want to share this with y'all real quick from this book. It was written by Pablo Escobar's son. And so this is, you know, just something that ties all into this. So now in the book, I think his name is Sebastian Mariquin. And so he stated that his father, Pablo, and his cousin Gustavo Gaviria did a practice run to test ship 100 kilos of cocaine in a twin-engine Piper Seneca plane. It arrived at Opelika Airport, a private airport in the heart of Miami, used exclusively by wealthy Americans without a hitch. Subsequently, he wrote, because they'd already successfully landed a shipment there for more than a year, Miami's Opelika Airport was my father's drug trafficking destination. So, you know, this is where Jack DeVoe was based out of, and this is one of the spots that Pablo Escobar was bringing his dope into, and then two individuals that Jack DeVoe also, because he wasn't just like some guy that was bringing it in on his own. He was working for people, and two of the individuals that he was working for is named Sal or Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta. So some of y'all, that's hip to the little drug dealers with titles and all of that, y'all may be familiar with that name, but this the guy that was shipping in May dope. And he was a CIA agent. And for those that do know what happened with Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta, I mean, y'all know this is how. So now, just a real quick before I go finish off with Jack DeVoe, something that I had noticed about that airport that he was working out of, that was the same airport, family, that, and y'all may say like, so what, but just something I noticed. That's the same airport that those hijackers, Muhammad Atta, and I think the other dude, Al Shahid, they was training doing the flight simulators at. And then to make it so bad, the hangar that they did it in or worked out of or simulator was located is hangar 101. Now I know y'all like, man, so what? But for those that kind of deal in numerology,
Who is it?
It's Troy.
Yeah.
And then I'm showing y'all kind of why that also stood out to me. So, all right. As far as those that was affiliated with Jack DeVoe, like I said, Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta, I'm gonna give y'all a clip about them, and then I'm gonna just, we're gonna get into Sonya Atala, show y'all another little clip. I gotta, like I said, man, these agents, DEA and CIA agents, under the instruction of George Bush, man, I'm telling you, they was doing a lot of things that appeared to be just drug dealers, and when they get knocked, that's how it's reported. But like I said, time has passed and the information out here, so I'm just digging it up. So all right, let me let y'all check this clip of Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta. All right, check this out.
Alina Falcone's husband has been an inmate at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Southwest Dade since October of last year. That's when Willie Falcone was arrested by federal marshals inside this posh Fort Lauderdale home. The Falcones reportedly rented the house for $9,000 a month while Falcone was on the lam. Willie Falcone is one of 10 people named in a 24-count indictment charging him with smuggling 75 tons of cocaine into the U.S. and laundering millions of dollars in drug money. Federal agents say Falcone amassed more than $2 billion worth of real estate and other property in Dade and Monroe counties. In his spare time, Willie Falcone raced power boats and was apparently very good at it. Along with partner Sal Magluta, who also faces drug charges, Falcone won several big-time races. The driveway of Falcone's home in Southwest Dade was packed with cars today, but one man leaving the house warned us to stay away. Metro Dade police emphasized they have no reason to believe Alina Falcone's murder was in any way connected to her husband's alleged drug dealing. They say she was simply a victim of a senseless street crime.
Sal Magluta, the feds say, were the biggest coke importers in South Florida, making $2.5 billion. This 1991 indictment charged them with a 75-ton cocaine enterprise. They used their racing boat business as a front for dope dealing that allowed them to live an opulent lifestyle. Willie Falcone and Magluta would eventually be convicted. It wasn't easy. Witnesses had a nasty habit of turning up dead. West Miami Police Chief Nelson Andrew, then a homicide detective, investigated the murders.
When they're
pipeline was threatened with destruction, they started whacking witnesses, hiring hitmen to prevent these witnesses from testifying against them in trial.
But while Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta were found guilty, it took 2 trials because jurors were bribed in the first one.
Welcome, Mr. Castillo, to the LaRouche Connection. And I'd like to go immediately to your book, very interesting book that you've put together. On page 132 of that book, you describe a kind of cameo appearance by Vice President George Bush. I believe this was in Guatemala City in January of 1986. And that would have been shortly after the inauguration of the new Guatemalan president, Cerezo. I'd just like to acquaint our viewers with that conversation, the events that led up to it, that followed it, and revolved around it, because this seems to sum up the heart of the matter.
Well, basically what happened there was that at that time, it was January 14, 1986, to be exact, George Bush was in Guatemala City. At the same time that George Bush was there, I also saw Caldero, head of the Contras, and Oliver North. And I met George Bush at the cocktail party at the ambassador's residence. And basically what he was doing was walking around, shaking hands with everybody. And he came up to me and asked me what my job description was as a DEA agent. And I told him that I conducted international narcotics investigation on traffickers down in Central America. And I also advised him that I was the agent that was in charge of reporting for El Salvador. And I forewarned him that there was some funny things going on at Ilopango Airport with the Contras. He shook my hand, he smiled, and he just walked away from me without saying another word. Okay. From that day moment, I knew he knew something about the Contras.
That's what you're right. He simply smiled and walked away, seeking another hand to shake. After that exchange, I knew that he knew.
That's correct.
I passed out a sheet. On the back of the sheet is a page from Oliver North's diary on that yellow sheet. Now, that sheet, by the way, links, if anybody wants to know evidence linking President Bush right to Freeway Ricky Ross, here it is. Now, this page was put together after 2 attempts by Ollie North at censoring it, he and his attorneys. So it's a composite of two attempts to hide information. When you put it together, for 9 July 84, and I got this from the National Security Archives, you guys can get it. It says, call from Claridge. Now, who is Claridge? For those of you who don't know, he's Dewey Claridge. He's a top CIA official who was pardoned by George Bush after lying to Congress. Now, in this conversation with Claridge, they talk about a reference telephone call to Calero. That's Adolfo Calero, the head of the Contra movement, linked in an evidentiary way. And again, I'm speaking as an expert in conspiracy, a man who put thousands of people in jail for conspiracy. In an evidentiary way, Calero is linked to Norman Meneses, to Blandón, to Freeway Rick. And what do they talk about in this conversation? Want aircraft to pick up 1,500 kilos. So now, my thought is that if this was in any of your diaries, you would immediately have 200-300 DEA agents on you 24 hours a day. Every phone call you ever made would be analyzed. Every dollar in every bank account would be analyzed. You would be followed from dawn to dusk, as would anyone you ever spoke to. This is major, major, major conspiracy. Now, the Washington Post said they conducted an investigation and found Freeway Rick case to be nothing. 2 men in the Washington Post. This is the kind of investigation that would take 100 DEA agents 2 years. But 2 men in the Washington Post said they've conducted an investigation and found it to be nothing. So I did a little more research. And I found a quote by Katharine Graham. You know who Katharine Graham is? She's the publisher from the, please excuse these sunglasses, I use them to see. She's the publisher of the Washington Post. And she was invited by Judge Webster in 1988 to address a graduating class of CIA recruits. And I bet she is so sorry that she ever did, because her remarks were duly quoted. And here they are. Quote, "There are some things the general public does not need to know and shouldn't. I believe democracy flourishes when the press decides whether to print what it knows." That explains a lot. And when you combine that with John Deutsch, the head of Central Intelligence, refusing to stop the practice of press as a CIA cover, it makes you sit back and say, who the hell can we believe? And I, again, and I'm speaking for my dead son, Keith Richard Levine, and my dead brother, am not going to stop talking until this issue really explodes.